Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Legend Commentaries here, bringing you today a guide on Shaco, the Demon Jester. His first ability is Backstab, where you deal 20% bonus damage when you strike anything from behind. His second ability is Deceive, where you basically flash to a location, and upon hitting your next target, you'll deal a critical strike. The next ability is Jack in the Box, my favorite, where you create a stationary trap. Upon being sprung by an enemy, it will cause them to be feared and deal damage to them. Then you have 2 Shiv Poison, where you throw a dagger at a target, it will slow them and deal damage. And finally, his ultimate, Hallucinate, where you create a clone of yourself, it will attack enemies, and when it dies, it will also explode, dealing damage over an area. As far as my masteries went, I went for Utility Masteries, with the offensive masteries going all the way down to Spell Pen, since I am going to be playing AP Shaco. For my runes, I went for Spell Pen and Mana Regen, along with some health quintessences. Those are going to help me with durability and lane, and for the penetration, more of an offensive bonus to my Jack in the Box damage and my dagger. As far as items go, these are just kind of some suggestions. I'm not going to go into great detail like I did last time. If you want detail, go and check out the guide I have over at leaguedb.com. I will put the link in the description and on the screen. When leveling up my skills in-game, I start with Jack in the Box, get 1 rank of Deceive at level 2, and then rank up Jack in the Box over my 2 Shiv Poison for the rest of the game, of course grabbing those ranks in my ultimate when I can. For summoner spells, I run Exhaust and Flash when I play personally. I like these just because they're more defensive and you can escape from enemies quicker. You can also run some Ignite, some Ghost. Ghost will help you get away. Ignite will help when you're on your boxes to get that extra damage off and prevent them from healing. You'll see me use all of these summoner spells except for Ghost during the gameplay ahead. Hope you enjoy it and hope you learned something. And remember, you can always check out all of this information with far greater detail in my guide on LeagueDB. I'll have a link in the description and an annotation on the screen. Now, I got a ton of really positive feedback on my last guide about the format and everything, but I also got some negative stuff. I'm going to try this a little differently. I'm going to go by game stage. This is something you can't really adequately express in a guide. I can express, what to do with each summoner spell, each ability in a guide, but this is something that takes more real examples. So I'm going to try breaking it up like this, and we're going to start with early game. As you all are well aware, the early game for Shaco is by far the most fun time to play him at, because you can do things like this. Sitting at around 208 health, somewhere where they can easily kill me, and in fact nearly almost does in just a second. Bam, down to 8 health. Of course, me, being the intelligent individual that I am, run into attack with 2 Shiv Poison. It didn't end up to work out against me, though, because we actually got a double kill there after deceiving out of range of their abilities. That's just one example of a rape bush being used, and I will call them rape bushes because that's exactly what they are. Early game again, well, kind of early game, I have my ultimate going to come in and help out Matt. He's playing Fiddlesticks here, and he actually starts the drain, keeping him up for long enough for us to finish off that Riven. I guess it's called Riven. Is it Riven or Riven? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. I'm sure one of you will criticize me either way. Here, Dylan decides to run in and go after Pantheon. In Skype, he was telling me, well, you better help me out if I go in. I didn't help out, I did not help out, but I didn't exactly act timely about it. Used my 2 Shiv Poison to slow him a little bit at the very end there, and didn't quite take him out, but don't worry, because Mr. Miet comes in and finishes him off for me. Another early game tactic to use when diving is to use that 2 Shiv Poison. You can always slow your enemies, make sure you save it and don't use it to initiate. In that case, I was kind of only using it because it was my only skill left, but you could always view that as a masterfully and well-planned tactic. There, you don't want to run out in front of enemies. Another early game tactic is that Shaco is very squishy. 1 box does a lot of damage, as you can see there, taking down Caitlyn to, not very much health there. Matt comes in and finishes her off. But like I was saying, is early game, one thing that you want to constantly focus on is making sure to not point yourself out to a bunch of enemies. If they are running through the jungle like that and you jump out at the very first person that comes through just because they're squishy like Rise, you're going to get rocked. And even with Deceive, chances of you getting chased down are pretty high. The only way to avoid that is to constantly have mana, which is something that I have problems with, which is why I run those mana regen runes for the majority of the time. If I didn't, then I'm positive that I would not have any luck playing Shaco at all. I don't know really why I flashed through that wall there. That was kind of a bad decision. I could have probably just stayed back here and gotten ready for this excellent Soraka kill by using 2 boxes laid down in succession. If you couldn't tell there, the first box feared her, and then I laid down one so that after the first fear was off, she would get feared again. It worked out nicely. Back to the next game that I played. Early game again, making that box push right there, and baiting Amumu in because I know he has his pull. He does have a pull, and he did use it, and it did not work out for his advantage. This game, actually, though, some bad things happen as well. Some not such nice events occur in my baiting practices. Here at 56 health again, this is normally the ideal time when you want them to come into this bush. Deceiving into the other bush would have been a really good idea, because then he probably would have ran through. But nonetheless, he flashed out. That didn't take him out, and Ash was not an idiot to run into it, so sad for me, but a good day for them. I'm sure he felt like a professional. Here, Warwick will come out from that mini-map in just a second. There he is. I should have known that he had Blood Scent. That is your worst enemy as early game, AP Shaco. I did take out Ash there, but the Blood Scent, the Clairvoyance, the Wards, they all work miracles against AP Shaco. So if you're playing against him, make sure that you utilize those. And if you're playing as him, make sure that you try to avoid laning against champions that have them. If you do, then you're not going to be able to get that one spot completely ready to destroy someone, and you're going to kind of have to space them out a little bit more. Another strategy you can use early game is to set them all on top of each other. Like you can see that Warwick doing, he thought he could take them out because he didn't realize how many there were, and upon starting to attack, he lost a good bit of his health. I came in and finished off with an Ignite and a Dagger. Another thing that you can kind of take away from this, and I'm sure a lot of you already knew it, is don't kite minions into your boxes. That is a bad practice to get into the habit of doing. So even though those boxes did get destroyed, and that was a lot of damage, this one box is actually taking Gangplank down quite a bit as well. Soraka, the DPS champion god that she is, flashes in to completely nuke down Gangplank, even though I did most of the damage. And this is one example of the recent patch change to Shaco. It made it so that the boxes will actually attack the last champion that Shaco attacked. So I had attacked Akali, and the box knew I shouldn't attack these minions, I should attack the one that Nuggles wants me to there. So I picked up that nice double kill. Even though the announcer didn't give it to me, I think it was a double kill. One area that Shaco absolutely lacks in, one of the areas I should say, because he lacks in a lot of areas as AP, is holding a turret. If you have two melee or ranged, it's incredibly difficult for you to hold a lane because the melee can just kind of sit there and attack you on a turret without really caring. You won't have time to get down enough boxes between minion waves because they'll be popping them every single time. And if you have the ranged DPS, that's just even worse. Now we're moving into the mid game here, just basically changing around your position. Like you can see, starting out in the jungle. Their jungle, by the way, they did have a jungler, so I was kind of waiting by that red buff to see when they would come over and try and get it when it respawned. But I saw that Brand was being attacked, and one thing that you always want to do as Shaco is stay aware, because you do have really good mobility with your Deceive spell. So I went ahead and Deceive to Shiv, pick that up, and of course promptly run away through the woods when I see their entire team coming after me. Deceive is not up for 3 seconds. Malphite comes in, uses the slow ultimate, terrible ultimate by the way, and then I am safely hiding behind my wall of boxes so that I know that I'll at least get a kill if they come in. Took down a little bit of everyone's health there, got a bunch of assists, and get away safely with 160 health. The next example here is actually of how much damage one box can do in a bush and how to use your ultimate to initiate. Brand there comes into the bush. I'm going to go ahead and use my ultimate so that if he does use his abilities, he won't know which one to focus. Granted, if he had used his ultimate, that would have been a terrible thing because I was now 2 people and it has something to bounce off of, but you know, looking back, there are always things that you'd change about gameplay. Cast in there doing work on Jax. I'm going to go ahead and try to pick that up. Was not quite in range. Using the ultimate there to block that Nidalee Spear. One thing that you can use that for is to block projectiles like that. Another thing is to avoid projectiles in general, or to predict where Brand is going to use his Conflagrate spell. I think that's what that one is. Conflagrate? I think so. But anyways, that was a close call. I thought he was going to nuke me, but he only nuked my box. But like I was saying, you can actually use the ultimate to dodge other ultimates, like Lux's, for example, is one. If you see her charging it up, go ahead and ultimate. You'll actually disappear for a minute and then reappear. So as long as you time it correctly, you should be able to get out of almost every situation like that. Mid-game, Shaco is decreasingly good throughout the entire game, so it only stands to reason that he's a little bit worse mid-game than he was early game. You can't really do that much in team fights. You can lay down boxes, and if your team fights on them, you will dominate, but in general, you can't really do that much. Using your clone is key, of course, because you always want to avoid having to focus on yourself. Here's a box push getting set up because mid-game, that's all you can really do, is hope to catch the enemy unaware. However, Nidalee did check it with a spear, so it didn't work out so well. Dylan got taken out because Matt dodged it. That was unfortunate. And here, you can just see the immense amounts of damage that those boxes are doing. It is ridiculous how it can destroy a team and rip them apart if they stand in the boxes for too long. Now, granted, this is mid-game. They don't have a lot of resistances built up. And late game, as you'll also see, Shaco becomes even less effective. Overall, I guess I'm trying to say he's not really that great of a champion to play in general, just because you want someone who's going to be good at all stages of the game. And Shaco is certainly not. Late game, he gets dominated, mostly because you can only really take out one champion unless you stagger boxes, which I'll show you how to do throughout the video. Pretty much what it is you lay down one box, like that one that's killing Pantheon from a quarter health. You lay down one box, and then you kind of alternate them in two positions in the same bush. What that'll allow you to do is, if they come into the first box bush and they get feared, they'll think that it's over, and they'll run back in sometimes. And then that second set of boxes will actually trigger and get the kill off for you, hopefully. Or at least give you some time to get there to assist. Here's one example of baiting. I saw Pantheon was ultimating in, so I go ahead and come out of the bush. He runs in and gets taken down very quickly. I'm using my Deathfire, one of the items that I would really recommend on getting for Shaco. I guess I should talk about items. Items are something that kind of come into play mid-game pretty regularly. You get your endgame item builds sometimes in mid-game, but most of the time in endgame. But you're definitely getting those first key items now. So like you can see, I started with a Deathfire Grasp. I believe that was one of the first items that I got in this game, along with my boots, of course. You want to always go for the Sorcerer's Boots, because those are going to give you the magic pen that you need late game. Build as late game oriented as you can. I have, since playing Shaco for many more games, started actually building Spell Pen early, getting a Void Staff and an Abyssal Scepter first, before I even get my Deathfire Grasp, or my Sheen. That is just kind of to counteract the effects of really tanky champions dominating you. If they run into a bush that you have rigged up with 10 boxes, and they have a ton of magic resist, it's not really going to help that much, and overall you're just not going to be as effective. So building with that spell pen is going to help you pick up some more kills that you normally wouldn't be able to get, and that's why I picked them up early game, because they will also greatly increase your chances of getting those kills in the jungle mid-game after you leave your lane. Another item that you can see is Boots of Lucidity, what I have right there. You can get those for cooldown. I would definitely recommend at least getting 39% cooldown reduction on Shaco. That's what I get every single game with my Deathfire and Boots of Lucidity. You can mix up the Boots of Lucidity if you get Spell Pen like I've been doing recently with any other cooldown item really. A Mage Eyes will also give you that cooldown reduction at 20 stacks, so feel free to try and build a Soul Stealer. I have stopped building Soul Stealer because you get a few games where you do really, really well, but early game you can build up your stacks, and then late game people get wise to you. They stop going through bushes. They start warding all of your key locations, one of them being this place that I'm at right now. If you can get a bush of destruction going around Golem, then you can pick up a few kills at least. Another one is that area over between Wraiths and the red buff. You can always put stuff in that bush. There will be a lot of junglers going through there early game. You can also set up a gank to kill the jungler on their very first rotation. If you set up a gank in those bushes, normally if a jungler starts at blue and they're running through those bushes, they will get destroyed. I have had it happen where a Yi ran in, he immediately got feared out, and I just lost a bunch of experience for not being in lane, but either way. Here Cho'Gath thinking he's tanky enough to take on my boxes, but no you're not, sir. No you're not. I flash out, see that Olaf is low health, go ahead and ultimate to try and juke out anyone, but Morgana appears to have targeted me correctly. Another instance of a team fight where you can't really do anything is AP Shaco. Kind of sitting in the bush, you can't really... I mean, if I ran out right now, I would just get dominated with all their CC. So what I'm doing is I'm building up this bush. Caitlyn actually comes in. I deceive out before she gets into the bush and go ahead and pick up that kill. I am now stuck in a very terrible situation because their entire team is right there. However, I do have more boxes, and that kind of gives me the leeway to do whatever I want. Once you establish that security netting, see there Morgana got feared, and that kind of picked up the kill for us. Cho'Gath had already gotten taken down quite a bit from the box in that bush. And then we come out from behind, and Cho'Gath gets taken down. But I didn't use my clone effectively, and it ended up actually costing me my life. Here's another example of camping that golem. Yi comes in, there's only one box there. I go ahead and set down another one, which immediately started attacking him again. There we go with that fear. And after he got out of meditate, I was able to pick him off pretty easily with the 2-shiv. Olaf comes out of nowhere. I have to use my flash and my deceive, but not to worry, because if that's what you have to do, that's what you got to do. Like you can see in the build order, I had my Void Staff and my Abyssal Scepter first. I was 7, 2, and 4, so definitely not a bad build. Part of that reasoning was because they had a Cho'Gath that was building very tanky, and an APE who was using Meditate a lot, and that was pretty annoying because he would just run into my boxes and have that Meditate on, so they wouldn't do nearly as much damage. Having the Spell Pen definitely helped out a lot with that. Here's another no-no as Shaco. Don't get cocky. As you can see, there are 3 people on the minimap right now, Caitlyn, Cho'Gath, and Olaf. They are all going to come up to kill little old me because I am Shaco, and no one likes a Shaco because he's freaking annoying. If you've never played against an AP Shaco, consider yourself blessed because it is impossible to get bush control against early game, and you are constantly scared middle game. Like you can see, every single clip here, I've got him in a bush. And different bushes, there are enough bushes around the map that no one's going to know the entire time where you put your bushes, where you put your boxes, rather. So make sure you're always changing up the location. You don't want to have this one bush that no one goes in because they know it's going to be there. Right here, actually, I want to talk about this. This is an example of how you want to move around the map. I saw that the team fight was going to occur bottom, so I immediately set up my boxes in the bush on the bottom of mid, thinking that Caitlyn very well could come through those bushes to go down to that team fight. If she had been able to see me with a ward or anything like that, which is one of the ways that you can counteract the effects of AP Shaco, then she would have been able to stop me a little bit easier. This is an example of 2 boxes taking down Akali from full health. I was not able to pick this kill up. Don't get excited, ladies and gentlemen. I made a large error. I decided to dive on an Akali inside of her Veil of Shadow, and that is a terrible idea in every case because she also got her buffs. You can't be too cocky with Shaco. Like I was saying, when I was in their woods earlier and I was trying to kill their whole team, that didn't work out. And now I was in the river and trying to kill Akali when she was running away and she was invisible, and that's just another bad idea. I want you to pay attention to that bush on the river there, because I've run in and kill Lux there, of course, but Caitlyn doesn't want to follow me into the bush because I've had boxes in every single bush that she's passed through so far. I'm going to run back up here and put another box in this river bush. Continue to watch it. I know you don't think anything's going to happen, but you just stay patient, ladies and gentlemen. Note now that there are going to be 3 boxes in this bush. That's 3. Caitlyn, I see, is getting a little bit low, so I want to be in the position to take her out if Akali does decide to dive, because she just asked there. I go ahead and put another box in this bush, and then, but wait for it. This is one of my favorite clips in the whole footage, or else I would not be telling you to wait so much. Alistar into 3 boxes gets taken down completely. That is why I love AP Shaco, because you can play so defensively, just having 3 boxes, which takes a total of 30 seconds, and you can take an Ollie Star down to 0 from full health. That is just ridiculous. One of the reasons why I love playing Shaco so much, and I'd really recommend that anyone play him. I think that it's definitely a personal kind of feat once you've played him and done well with him, and you can kind of put it behind you and be like, all right, I'm not going to play AP Shaco anymore. That was fun while I got a few kills, but now I'm done. Now I want to play people who are good. I guess this is pretty much the end of the middle game stage. Level 15, no one's really gotten Baron. It's kind of hard to distinguish between stages, at least between middle to late game. There's an example of staggering boxes, by the way. I'll talk about that right quick. As you can see, Akali got feared by the first one that I had in front, and then the rest of them behind it did not go off. Now, if she had gotten feared into the other ones, they would have went off. Always a risk to take, but I tried to stagger them a little bit out of the same place, just so that if that did happen, I would still have some boxes left to kill her if she came back into the bush. And they actually will be utilized, not by that same champion because we actually killed her, but by another champion. We're all kind of waiting in the bush here. I have my Golem buff, something that you always also want to keep up if you can. And Ollie Star once again gets taken down extremely quickly, this time popping all of my boxes. That was a little unfortunate, but here, Soraka used her Zhonya's Hourglass to try and save her, but Ashe didn't really run behind it, so that was kind of a failure. Moving into the late game, this is all the team fights that you have late game. As you can see, starting out with control of Baron this time. Definitely a late game aspect of League of Legends. I'm putting my boxes in that bush. Bran can take them out. Another thing that's just, late game AP Shaco, not so great. Running in there with my clone. And actually setting down boxes every single time you have the chance is a great thing, but a lot of the time they'll get taken out. People have bought wards, people have bought oracles, so overall he's not as effective. You can still use your 2-shiv poison. That's doing some pretty good damage by now, especially when you have, like in this game I had 10 stacks of Mage Eyes. And I already had my Void Staff and my Deathfire, so those in combination will do quite a bit of damage to anyone who's full health. Making the right bush there is another good strategy. You just want to keep using those major pathways because even if you don't kill anyone, you're still going to at least have the ability to help out in a team fight and contribute to lowering the health of one of your enemies. Another one of the dangers of the late game AP Shaco is that you will take out one person and then be absolutely useless. So, like I had said, make sure that you stagger those boxes. You do not, under any circumstances, want them all in one neat little stack. In some of the footage I show you, I actually have them like that, and that's just kind of to illustrate how terrible they are. It's how I played when I was first playing games as AP Shaco, and I have since then realized that it's just not a good strategy overall. Their box is taken down Malphite and Riven once again. Nidalee, oh no. I think she thought that I dodged the other way, but I often try to use the whole reverse psychology thing. People always think you're going to be super tricky as AP Shaco and go backwards, but if you just go forwards, a lot of the times they won't even follow you. Just another some food for thought there. When you're doing Baron, you definitely want to have the boxes all around in the bushes. You can see one's going off there on the top of the screen. I've got some in the bushes where we're all fighting, and they take down their whole team to quite low health, popping Jax's Guardian Angel, and allowing us to actually finish off this team fight on a positive note. Unfortunately, like I've said several times, I've had to back out of the team fight because you're not really that viable as AP Shaco, and you get taken out extremely fast. I leave my clone in there to do some damage and explode on Jax. It goes ahead and takes him out, and then I pick up the double kill with my 2-shiv poison. Like I had said, that's actually probably one of your best assets late game is using that 2-shiv poison and using the boxes more for map control. Since at Baron we had boxes all over the place and they were constantly getting feared, it harassed them enough that they were not able to really effectively do anything against us. Here's an example of us pushing into their inhibitor. Went ahead and took that out, and I am running back through their woods because I am scared for my life. Their whole team just spawned. Covering your retreat, as always, with the boxes because you want to be sure that you can fear any enemies that decide to come after you. Apparently they had a ward in there. I didn't think they did, but it was there nonetheless. I should have really flashed into that bush, but they see me right as I was running into it because of the oracle that Warwick had. So they killed me that time. You know, it's kind of unfortunate. Here's an example of the late game aspect of killing one champion and then not being able to do anything. You have all your boxes in the river outside of Baron. One lonely champion, that poor champion. We're going to watch how fast Poppy melts here. 1, 2, 3, pretty much 3 shots from the turrets took her down full health, even with her passive. So, kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. You basically are forced to eliminate one champion. But if it's a crappy champion that's, you know, not doing well that game, and you don't take out their carry, then you're kind of useless, and then you kind of can't do anything except for 2 Shiv whenever that's up. Another example here of using those boxes for that map control. Warwick is able to completely dominate the team fight because he can regen like a mofo. My one lone box there picks me up the 500 gold for ending that godlike killing spree. I will definitely take that any day. Back in these bushes once again, because our team fights have been gravitating towards top jungle on their side, which is just another one of those things. You always want to know where team fights are going to be taking place. If you see that a bunch of people are moving top, start building up your boxes in that 3-way bush on top. There, Poppy just gets taken out because she is unlucky in this game at running into 10 boxes at once. Here, once again, I was not at the main fight because I would get nuked and taken down instantly, so I wait to kind of come in at the end and clean up with Mr. Miet. Amumu here decides to completely fake everyone out. I ran in with my deceive, so I was not able to chase him down, but Poppy triggers that box, and we are able to take her out because of it. So that's kind of one good aspect of AP Shaco late game, is you can actually kind of use that map awareness, but then also set your team up for some easy ganks. If someone's getting a buff like that, you can set them up at Dragon or at Baron really late game. They don't last for very long, so you want to make sure that it's kind of within a time period that you think they'll actually go for it. Here we were anticipating going for Baron. Matt goes ahead and brings Poppy back in. Well, once again, she gets taken down easily, melting away. Now that is a box bush right there. That is what you want to have. Level 16, I've got about 10 boxes in that bush, kind of out here in mid farming, hoping someone will come through. Master Yi does indeed come through, and he gets taken out extremely quickly. Hopefully you guys learned something today. You know, this style of video, do you like it? I felt like it was a little choppy. I wasn't able to commentate really well, but maybe I'll get better with practice, or I might just go back to the old style where I just show you exciting clips, maybe cut out some of the more boring scenes. But either way, hopefully you guys kind of want to go out and play AP Shaco now, learn something more about him. Go ahead and leave me a comment in the description telling me whether or not you like the format, what you would like me to do if you do not like the format, and what I can do to overall just improve your experience on my channel. I want to welcome all the new subscribers and say hello to all of the old subscribers that have been here for a while. And as for anything else, I am signing out. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.